Now, I'd like to talk a bit about Vaal Molten Shell. It has received some great performance increases. I've heard people talking very nicely about the Rat's Cage when it comes to the lagging. Not as bad as it was before. Basically, Rat's Cage makes you able to make the fire damage you take of Life Incense on yourself to be partly physical. And when it's partly physical, it will trigger something called Vaal Molten Shell, because it's triggered every time you mitigate some physical damage. The colors to get are quite hard. It's 4 off colors, red, red, blue, blue. Is it worth it? Not anymore if you ask me, but for those who like to run the setup, this is how you do it. I had one green here, perfect. You can put a blade vortex in it. So you put this on before the bosses. You get your blade vortex stacks up to the maximum. So you have something to ignite the boss with. Alright, you will have some duration on your tree. Because if you want to use Vaal Molten Shell, you should have a 45% duration nodes, which I've removed in my latest tree to get more life. This you should have. And the links to having your chest plate is increased duration, control destruction, concentrate effect, and Vaal Molten Shell. What more items to use with it? You get your taming and Ember Wake on. This is also almost a must if you're gonna run Vaal Molten Shell. So the price goes up pretty steeply. These probably run for a couple of exalts in a temporary leak. I don't really know. So this is the combo to run. Now I want to show you a couple of clips of how we do this in not just only theory, but in game. One thing to note is the clips that I have is from a time when Blade Vortex could hit up to 20 times per second. That's not the case anymore. Now it can max hit, I think it's 5 times per second. But still, we're gonna watch it because the same technique applies. We're gonna watch a Dark Forest map. It's one of, I think, the hardest bosses for this build, and I'm gonna show how we took it down. So what we do is we run in with our setup. I've loaded up some Blade Vortex beforehand, which is why I have 16 Blade Vortexes. I just run to him. So this is great. It activates my more spells and they will go around. And then he does his fantastic wolf barrage, or what we're gonna call it, which damaged me a lot. Look at the Blade Vortex. They hit max stacks. Think of the firestorms. They also hit max stacks. So we ignite him a lot. And that is the basics of how to make the Vaal Molten Shell work. So now we have ignited him a lot. We almost died there, but we activated our flasks here to mitigate some of the damage, and it is nice. Because it doesn't trigger our savage hit, so we don't get the 100% leech. Now, when he wolf barrages, he takes 90% reduced damage. So attacking him in that state is not very useful. Now, right after, when it ended, we pop our Vaal Molten Shell. And it kills him in maybe less than 1 second. So what happens is, we trigger it, and he's dead. And this is thanks to having so many spells active. If we don't have many spells active, we will fail. And if we don't trigger it right after his wolf barrage, we will also fail, probably. So it's about the timing. Now, if we would have waited more, he could go into his wolf form, and in that form he's immune to damage, and he does a nasty bleed that will kill you in a couple of seconds. So that is the window of success right there. I've used it with others as well. I've used it on Minotaur, and it was very effective there as well. It prevents you from dying, and it kills him very nicely. So here's the same thing. You're waiting for all your Blade Vortex stacks to go up, and all your Firestorm stacks to go up. They didn't hit you a lot. And then when you're happy with the results, which will be in a second here, you pop it. As you see, before the latest changes, it was a bit laggy. It shouldn't be as laggy now. But that's how you do it. So taming Ember Wake, take a lot of damage. Those bosses it works great on. And then take them down in a matter of seconds. Or a second.